up, movie crew? Welcome to the latest collection video. Before I get started, if you are new to this channel, my name is Luke, this is Let's Watch a Movie, and if you're in anything cinema and physical media related, you've come to the right place, so hit that subscribe button. Alright, this week, Fast 10 comes to theaters. We are nearing the end of the road, possibly, on the Fast and Furious franchise. So I thought that I would show off my Fast and Furious movie collection. Alright, so it all started with the original, the Fast and the Furious. This is one of the comic book inspired steelbooks that Universal did. I just thought this was a cool looking steelbook, so that's why I picked it up. And I believe this was when I upgraded my DVD to steelbook. No, I do not. I don't own the DVDs any longer, so everything you're going to see here is Blu-ray and 4K. So there's the first one. There is no artwork inside, nor is there any disc artwork. Alright, so this is the only double dip in this collection. For the 20th anniversary, we got a new steelbook. So there's the front with Vin Diesel and Paul Walker. And there is the back with their well-known vehicles. And this one does have some inside artwork. So there is the inside of the original Fast and Furious, the 20th anniversary 4K steelbook. Now I've got to say, I know a lot of people have enjoyed the heist films that the movies have become, but the original is still a great watch. I love it. That's just my personal opinion though. Alright, so Vin Diesel went on to make XXX, which meant that they had a little bit of an issue of making a sequel to a sleeper hit. And I know because of that, this movie does get a little bit of hate, but personally, I love the movie. Storyline, it actually makes sense. And that is Too Fast, Too Furious. This picks up with Brian's story, Paul Walker's character, after the events of the first movie. There is also a short film on here that shows what happens that leads to Paul Walker going from the events of the Fast and the Furious to Too Fast, Too Furious. This is where we're also introduced to Roman Pierce and Tej Parker, played by Tyrese and Ludacris. Also, this movie was directed by John Singleton, director of Boys in the Hood. They got a really great director for this movie. And again, I get why people don't like the movie. I personally enjoy it. Now we're going to get into one that has gained its following since. Personally, I'm still not a fan of this one for a couple different reasons, and that is the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. On one end, we got introduced to Han. On the other end, I'm just not a fan of the movie. Like, the story in this one kind of sucks. Yes, you get some of the better racing scenes, but that's really about it. You get a Vin Diesel cameo at the end, spoiler alert, but given this movie is almost 20 years old, I'm assuming most people know that by now. Also recently watched a docu-series, Icons Unearthed. Had Vin Diesel not done that cameo appearance, this would have probably been a direct-to-video feature, And I would probably not be doing this collection video because no one would have given a damn about the franchise after that. Let's just be honest here. Alright, so the next one. Once again, one of the movies a lot of people don't like. I personally enjoy it. It's one of my favorites in the franchise. And oddly enough, this is the first one that I got to see in theaters. And that is Fast and Furious. This is the fourth movie. This one shows what Vin Diesel's been up to. It shows what's happened with Paul Walker. However, they had to find a way to bring in Han, so there was some sort of connection to Tokyo Drift. And this movie actually takes place before the events in 3. And it's a little bit of a weird plot that they did to do all that stuff. But overall, I still enjoy this movie. Alright, who's ready for a hot take? Man, let me get this out because I still... Fast 5, the introduction of The Rock's character. This is the first one that kind of went away from street racing and being more of a heist film. I am not a fan of this movie. I have fallen asleep watching it before. I'm just not a fan. And that is why, out of some of the movies that I own, why you probably aren't going to see this one get upgraded to 4K anytime soon. I'm just not enough of a fan of it. But one of the other things, too, is I got this at my local FYE before they closed down a while back. And because I had the card, the membership at the time, and this particular version that just has the Blu-ray and the digital copy was on clearance, so they could do the 4K and the Blu-ray DVD combo pack, I managed to get this for 46 cents. That's right. One of the reasons I own Fast 5 is because I was able to get it for 46 cents. That is one of the cheapest Blu-rays I have ever bought. Well, it's the cheapest if you take out all the stuff I've managed to get for free over the years. So, yeah. Alright, I did not like 5, so I was like, alright, I don't know if I want to see 6 or not. But when Paul Walker passed away, they also, around this time, there was Paul Walker's death, the announcement that Justin Lin was going to be making Star Trek, so he had backed out of making the 7th movie, so they replaced him with James Wan, one of my favorite directors in the modern era. So I was like, alright. There was a lot of things going into 7 where I was like, alright, I need to see 7, but I do need to see 6 first. So I managed to get my hands on this steelbook. I think I got it for $5 at Target. So there is the front. There is the back. And we do have a little bit of disc artwork. So personally, I do like this one more than 5, but it's got some cool action scenes, not gonna lie. But it's definitely more of a middle of the road for me. Alright, so now we are getting into Furious 7. This is the final one to feature Paul Walker because he passed away while shooting this. So James Wan had to finish a movie without his lead star and find a way to retire the Brian O'Connor character which made it even more difficult given that Paul Walker died in a car accident. That's a lot of stuff that James Wan had to do while making this movie. I completely understand why he turned down making the 8th movie, because he was offered it at one point. I gotta say though, they did do a good job filling in the scenes that they didn't get to finish making with Paul Walker. For those that don't know, they brought in his younger brother and they did a little bit of CG to put Paul Walker's face over his brother's face when his brother was the one doing some of the scenes. And there are a couple of scenes where you just hear like a little bit of a voiceover role from like various parts that Paul Walker had done in previous movies. And the way they retired his character was great. There's this meme that still, oddly enough, gets shared from time to time. It said, movies that make girls cry, and it's Titanic. Movies that make boys cry, and it was the ending to Furious 7. And that is completely accurate. I definitely got emotional the first time I watched this in theaters. So, because Furious 7 ended up being the highest grossing movie of the Fast and Furious franchise, it was well received, where some of the previous ones were liked but not necessarily praised, whereas Furious 7 was indeed praised. You should have known we were going to get 8. The Fate of the Furious. So on one end, this movie is stupid. As you can tell, the cover reveals it, they go up against a submarine in this movie. The other thing I don't like is starting with Fast 5, you get the option of either watching the regular cut or the director's cut with each movie. But with Fate of the Furious, for whatever reason, the director's cut is only available digitally. And it's kind of like some of the older movies from the 90s and early 2000s where it is obvious that the scenes that are added in the director's cut were not meant to be in the director's cut. Like, some of the scenes just look a little choppy. It's not in the same resolution as the rest of the movie. I don't recommend the director's cut. It doesn't really add anything special. But also, this is the movie where Vin Diesel and The Rock got on each other's nerves so badly that you can very much tell that their scenes were not shot together. And somehow they still have it that The Rock's character is going to spend time with family, and he's at the end of the scene where that's pretty much the end of all the Fast and Furious movies where the family's together having a meal. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Because of The Rock being one of the highest grossing actors in Hollywood, but the Fast and Furious franchise being one of the big franchises that Universal has, and they're able to crank them out a little bit faster, pun intended, I guess, than some of the other franchises they own. They ended up making Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Alright. I still have mixed feelings on how they kind of make Jason Statham's character one of the likable people, because they kind of made him a bit of an asshole in Furious 7, but then Fate of the Furious F9, and it does look like with Fast 10 he's on the good guys team. I don't get it. But the biggest issue I have with this is that both characters are presented a certain way in their introductions, respectively, with Fast 5 with Rock, Fast and Furious 6 at the end with Jason Statham's character for Deckard Shaw. And in this movie, they're pretty much both playing the same characters they always play in all their movies. So instead of Rock being a bit of a hard ass, he's doing the whole charming, very likable person that's got a good sense of humor when he's been a no-nonsense character the entirety of the franchise so far for what he's been in. Then you got Deckard Shaw, who's just like, he doesn't miss in whatever he's doing. If he's coming after you, you're going to get got. But then in this one, he's pretty much Daffy Duck to Rox's Bugs Bunny. And it doesn't make any sense. Also, this movie, yes, I know, I complain about movies being too long, but there was a part in this movie where it was like, all right, they've pretty much reached the end of the movie. And then they just suddenly add like another 40 minutes to the movie, and it's like, wait a minute. Y'all could have wrapped it up like right here. Like this spot right here. You could have wrapped everything up, but instead y'all are going to add like another 40 minutes to this movie. What the hell? It didn't make sense. So, if they make a Hobbs and Shaw 2, I unfortunately will probably end up watching it and buying the movie because I own all the Fast and Furious movies, but at the same time, I'm not looking forward to seeing it. I'm just going to let that be that. And now we go to F9, the Fast Saga. I don't know a nice way to put it. This movie is trash. There's no other way to put it. So, the whole John Cena being Vin Diesel and Jordana Brewster's like long lost brother makes no sense to me. Like, the way it's been presented over the years, like, I genuinely believe that Vin Diesel and Jordana Brewster are siblings. Like, the way they were presented, their mannerisms throughout the movie, like, I could see those two actually being siblings. Even though, obviously, they're not in real life. Cena looks nothing like either of them. Outside of just having, like, a deep voice throughout the movie and having little things here and there to say, like, no. And then the space thing was just stupid. Just because we were making jokes about what's next, they're going to have Fast and Furious in space, does not mean they should have went Fast and Furious in space. I don't know what else to say on that one. I was not a fan of this movie. I'm very, very cautious going into Fast 10. If it wasn't for the fact that they've already announced that Fast 10 is supposed to be the beginning of the end, which I'm still cautious about given that One Last Ride has been the tagline for quite a few of these movies and some of the trailers, I don't know. And also, the reason I haven't shown off the Steelbook, there's the back of it, there is no inside artwork. Because I remember being kind of pissed off when I opened it up and saw that. So that is my complete Fast and Furious collection. I am missing the movie Better Luck Tomorrow, which was Justin Lin's directorial feature, and that was the introduction of Han. So I do want to eventually add that to the collection so I can show off everything. So you'll probably get an updated collection whenever Fast 10 hits Blu-ray, DVD, 4K. I'll try to have Better Luck Tomorrow purchased by then. And you'll get a revised Fast and Furious collection video. And that's going to do it for this one. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. You like what you see, leave a thumbs up. Comment down below. What's your favorite Fast and Furious movie? But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all for watching and tune in next time.